saw a video of you guys playing, and it was Drunk Right Now, and like I've just been so in tune with your solo stuff that I kind of have forgotten like how much you're still doing with Sundy, and these shows look crazy. What's that been like?
It's the fruit of years of the grind, and it's just nice because we play a lot. It's like mainly Kentucky, and it just always feels like home. It's the whole kinfolk thing. It's like it's so real. And I made a post the other day of just how I'm just like trying to like take in the people, and it's like a chance for me to see just people that I've known for years, and I'm just in a place where I just want to enjoy it as much as I possibly can, and I think that when I was younger, and even up until the last year of like stressing about my performance, so much that I was like kind of choking the life out of the experience because I'm just like so hyper focused. Like I feel like I'm like, I have this sports background, and I feel like I can just be super intense, and I'm trying to like not be so intense and just like enjoy it. It's not
Yeah.
it's not sports. It's not a competition. Um, so it's yeah. I'm so thankful for those kind of shows, and it is such a way to stay in touch with people a little bit. At least you know
Yeah.
once a year
Yeah, man.
for a
You're
couple hours.
that intensity comes through. It's funny. Um, I rip off a lot of dumb tweets, and I did one the other day about like the best entertainers, and I think some people were surprised that I didn't have you in there because I love seeing you. But when I say entertainer, I think you know what I mean of like a Charles
Totally,
Godwin. Charles
totally,
Godwin. You and Charles put on a very different show,
definitely.
right? I lock into you in a different way than I do a Charles show, but I can see like in you when I see you like you're not you're not running all over the place. Which again, it's not to knock on Charles. Actually, I think Charles has one of the most fun sets I've ever seen.
Same.
It's insane, and I watch you though with like this. I've seen you many times, especially if you throw in Sunday best. But like one of the most in this same vein here of like probably the most animated and emotional and electric I've ever seen you was that Laurel Cove set. And I again looking back on like, and I probably could sit down and write them out all the times I've seen you, but like from the basement of Redmond's all the way up through seeing you guys at like, when you headlined Laurel Cove, I saw you in a tiny bar here in Louisville one time. I've seen you play down at the Mercury. It's just like a long list, but like that Cove set, there was it was a homecoming feel to it. And to me, like that's the best set I've ever seen you do, just from the emotional side of it. But like that was also like when I hear you say you're trying to stress less, like I could kind of feel it that night. Like it almost felt like you just had all this coming, like it had to come out, right? Like it
Yeah,
was bottled
definitely.
up, is how it felt as a fan.
Yeah,
I stood and watched that show by myself, dude. I couldn't find my wife. She couldn't find, because there's so many people down there.
yeah.
And I ended up, there's one random guy from Twitter that I bumped into. His name's Dylan. He was standing right behind me. So I guess I was with Dylan and his girlfriend. I've only met him a couple times. But yeah, I watched that whole set by myself, and I could just feel it. Like I was locked in. I didn't even know who was around me, you know?
Mm.
Tell me about that set.
Yeah, I mean, Laurel Cove, it's such a, like, and John and Blake, like, I just, and Parton, and really everybody there, like, it's like things like that you don't have to, like, worry about. Like, what the experience is going to be like. Like, that takes so much mental, that allows so much mental freedom when you're just like, yeah, this is going to be great no matter what happens. And, Creekside, and it was just, we were right on top of the crowd, and it
And you
was
chose
just
that, didn't you? I heard you chose to play that stage.
no, I mean, I was fine with it, but that was kind of like, John didn't know. One, it was like, am I available to do it? Do I want to do it? Do I even want to play? Because sleeping in the woods is so close,
Right.
and for me, I've made a living in this Kentucky ecosystem, like the way that people have done it in Texas and Oklahoma for years in that red dirt scene. It's like I've played like, primarily Kentucky the last 10 years, and I definitely get like radius clauses and things like that, but something like that, Laurel Cove, just it's I'm going to make it work, like I don't care about, and I work with people with Sleeping in the Woods, that it's like, yeah, we need to feed each other, and we need to. So yeah, I mean, that set was just, I don't know, like I just felt like it was like everything that's happened in my life. It was like I was like able to kind of rest in what has happened in the relationships of all those people, and just be free and just play. And I ultimately think that that's what, like, and the same with the band, like it's taken a long time to get it took a long time to get a group of guys that were like the right people. And I spoke about this kind of off air of like what I feel like the Sunday best experience. Like part of that is Chris and I's comfortability with each other, that space that we share with each other of just like, we can be our complete authentic selves on stage. And I feel that way with the Morning Jays too. I've known Zach Lafferty for the 20 plus years, played music with him for that long, and this group has played together for going on 6 years. So it's like you just don't have to worry about as much. And it was spiritual for me, like it was I think I heard someone say, you say something about like it was like Holy Ghost, like church kind of like that. Yeah. That's how I felt about it. Yeah. Just this oneness with everybody is what I think it ultimately was. And man, that's like that's why I do this. Like that's the thing that I'm always trying to chase is like that, those moments when every single person there is there for the same reason. And it's not, you were in Louisville, and there's people there for different reasons, Yeah. They were like, some people were there to talk and hang out, and
that's right.
But when you get everybody on the same page like that, which is the culture that I think that, the Laurel Cove crew has cultivated, that's what I think is special about that space, is like, yeah, everybody is like singular focus. And in that kind of space, you just kind of do what you rest in the practice, back to like a sports analogy of like, you get there and you're just like, well, I'm ready. I just got to do what I've always done. And it was different too, cause we didn't have a drummer, and it was like, that's kind of that's even more vulnerable for us, that kind of space without a drummer keeping time. Then it's like more me keeping the time. And I think about Wheelwright, was probably the like most emotional I got like during that song. Yeah. And it just reminded me of like that, I'm singing about my grandparents and that experience of like listening to people play music in the living room, and I'm like, that's what this is like.
Right.
We're arriving to that now, and like I feel like I've spent most of my life trying to like excavate that kind of like experience in my own music of what I perceived as a 3-year-old. So it was surreal, of just like complete. This is where I've arrived, and it's just the best. So
I don't mean to take away from the guys that headlined. I think it was Old 60 that night. Wasn't it? Was it Old 60 that night? You were Saturday. But I talked to multiple people who left that, and it's like, man, that was such an experience. I felt like that was the headliner, like the high was so strong. And I think part of that too, like Rich Henderson kicks off at the pre-party, covers Hyman with Parton. Yeah. I'm sure you saw a video of that.
Oh, yeah.
And then, I'm talking to different artists, and they're they're talking about how they want to see the Nick Jamerson set, you know, and then I'm talking to uh, just fans in general, like, and there were so many people. That's most people I've ever seen at the Creekside set. It reminded me very much Cole Chaney's set that went to like 1:30 in the morning, like that kind of vibe. I think it's like it had one of the best feels down there. But then you're on social media. There's like that Jordan Lee King's house. They're all like all these guys, Hunter Flynn, every artist that was there. I don't know if you were there that night, but yeah, I figured you probably rambled. Dad things to do, right? Because I knew you had a tight schedule. But like you know, they're in there covering Hyman, and it's just like your legacy was there, man. Like you could feel it everywhere. And then it's kind of cool because now we've got your sister there, and I think a lot of that spirituality you can feel in her set. That was her, but I've seen her a couple times, and that was my favorite set of hers too. Just feel like she's starting to come into herself, and it's just like a lot of your legacy was in that show. I want to talk to you about this new album. I could have this conversation for a long time, but I wanted to get you on. I wanted to talk about that set, and that was an amazing answer. But I want to make sure we talk a little bit about The Narrow Way. And so I've heard the album. For Nick and I were talking before the release, but I got to hear the album. And I feel like you've changed a lot with this one. I've been following you a long time, man. I mean, I've got copies of Sundy that I don't even think you can find anymore, right? Like I have an album I think you guys pulled once you signed with a label or something. Like I've got a lot of Nick bootlegs and all your stuff, man. I'm like a super fan, right? All your Patreon, I download them, I throw them into a playlist. Like
heck yeah.
I've got hundreds of things that you've probably forgotten even existed. So I've seen you go, you know, throughout your career and the things you've written about. And you, before The Narrow Way, had a really mature view of the world, but this just feels wiser. And the first thing I want to ask you about, like, was the process for creating these songs different, or is that just your perspective has changed?
It was a little of both. I think consciously I was trying to, like, I remember being on my porch talking to my fiance and being like, I feel like I'm about to go through, like, my shadows, so to speak. Like I feel like I'm about to like really go through some hard stuff. So which I think kind of came with like my sobriety, you know, of like from alcohol, and like it just kind of brought a lot of things to the surface that I just honestly I feel like I'd repressed for a long time. And also with that, I was like, I also feel like I'm going to need help. Like I'm going to need someone to help me sort through this. And, which is different because I've just kind of always, just kind of put it on my back and done it. And I just knew that I couldn't, I didn't want to, which, yeah, was just, that's part of, I feel like, recovery. Not that I feel like I was like having a hard time with alcohol. It was more, but it's like one and the same of like I think everybody needs help in life, like we all do. And Rachel was like that. Aside from my family, who was like sitting with me through a lot of this stuff, Rachel Bayman producing it, and I've never had a producer be so invested in the process. So I think that, like, I think the record is so much about Rachel too, and like her willingness and like commitment to my grind, because I was like, I was just writing a bunch of stuff and I needed help like sorting it out. And like, I feel like sometimes with ideas that I have, I can like, it can be overwhelming to a space sometimes, and like she was able to like take all these big ideas and help me like trim it down and make it something that was super digestible and super like right on the nose of like the essence of what we're trying to say, you know. So we wrote a couple songs together. We wrote, you know, How Sunday Feels, but she also just helped me edit and helped me decide what songs it was going to be. And I could worry less about like, is this good or not? It was more of like, it just gave me more freedom just to be myself. And yeah, it's also the product of this is kind of the trilogy. This is kind of the third piece of this, my 30s pretty much. It's like the tail end of my 30s, and just more experience, more time, and it just, yeah, it was just the product of all my experiences that I've had. It's the summation of it. So
It's so funny we've talked a little bit about Sunday, and you're talking about like the headspace you're in, and you can just feel like the evolution of your career. Though I can't remember if it's when I hit record or not, because you and I kind of chatted. I should have recorded it earlier, but we were talking about Drunk Right Now with that Sunday performance. You guys kicked off with that song recently. Like, I can imagine, I'm not going to say for sure, but like, I can imagine when you wrote that song, it's just like, you just banged that out. You wrote it, it happened, and it was very organic, I imagine.
Yeah,
right?
that's where we were at.
Yeah, right. Like, you were just ripping heaters. But now I will say the production of that album, I still listen to that album sometimes, and I'm like, man, this was a special thing. You guys really did in the studio. It has a really good vibe to it. It's not just like what a lot of, I feel like these albums today, where it's like, a guy on a mic, and white guy with a guitar. As a music producer told me, he's like, white guy with a guitar right now, very big, very big. Got the Dylan Gossetts, the Zach Bryans. Like, there's a lot of that right now.
Yeah, totally.
But you guys, you had something special there. But then, like, looking ahead, man, to like how Sunday feels. Like, you and Rachel, which, by the way, I know you know this, but like, my God, you guys got to write more together, because Vine That Ate the South, you guys co-wrote that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then How Sunday Feels, I feel like How Sunday Feels might be the best hook and chorus of your, or at least like, it's like a top 5 Nick Jamerson chorus for me.
Cool.
When I first heard it, man, I immediately texted your buddy Jeremy, and I was like, man, he's done something very special here. I feel like that song is, you're not at all, I feel like, writing for radio. But there's an element of that song that I'm like, I feel like this could be really popular, because it has something that contradiction inside of us all. Like, we all have I think anybody that listens to that song is going to identify with that, even if you're not spiritual. Like, you have this tug and pull, and you kind of just talked about with your sobriety, right? But there's an element of that, but it's also just a really good hook. Like, it's just like you all together. Vine That Ate the South is like that too.
Yeah.
Very catchy melody, right? Do you, I mean, is there something to that with you and Rachel? Like, what's that like together? How do you guys come? That's twice now you guys have put out, just to me, like, very similar songs. And Vine That Ate the South also has that melody, very like, oh, this is really good, but it's also heavy. Right?
Yeah.
That's a heavy song too.
Totally. I mean, I don't know. I just have clicked with Rachel from day one, and just have so much respect and trust in her, like, vision and taste. And one thing that I like with her is, like, she has strong opinions, and that's what I love about her, is like, she it's not just like, well, I don't like this. And I think that's why I run into sometimes with people, it's like, well, I don't like that, but they don't, like, really have an opinion on what they do like. And Rachel is just like, if she doesn't like something, then she will, like, also follow up with what she does like. So I just feel like we have this good, like, push and pull. Like I said, like, I will, like, come in. I feel like that song, like How Sunday Feels, I mean, and the Vine That Ate the South, it was like a therapy session, like, I'm coming in, and I'm just like, just had this, like, really visceral, like, I got to get this out. We got to talk about this. I don't know what it is. It's a song, and just her capacity. Like, she has just great capacity to, like, hear what I'm saying, and to be able to pull from that and make it into something, And when we wrote that chorus, it was just like, wow, it just kind of happened, It fell out. And it's funny, like, we were talking about Linda James, about that song, and we were like, what is the, not anti Linda James, but kind of like that was kind of what we were like. Linda James is, like, I think, virtuous, and, like, it's, like, pretty, like, neutral. It's positive.
Right.
And I think with this record, it was like, and this song in particular was like, well, the ugly side of things and kind of the hypocrisies and which is like really the theme of the record is like I said, the shadows, and just like being able to look at and talk about things that don't make you feel good, because I think that ultimately in my journey of like recovery, it's like I think the last part of it is being able to talk about it, no matter what it is. It's like asking for help and being able to admit that something bothers you, and the fact that it bothers you, like I think the thing that like in my life that has kept me from talking about it is the fear of being judged. Like if I say this, we live in this society where it's so polarizing. Like if you say one thing, then you're immediately thrown onto a side. And I hate
so polarized.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it because
same.
we're so much more than that. Like life is so nuanced, and we can like, I've seen this, and I'm not trying to be political, but it's like we can criticize America and still love America. You know what I'm saying? Like we can criticize our leaders and still like be supportive, but it's like you have to. It's just like the yin and yang. Like it's reality of like the light and dark of things, and you can't. I think that for me in my life, I tried to, like, I say this a lot, like I used to hide in the light with like this like almost toxic positivity. In my mind, I think it's good to be positive and like be hopeful, but that's just not how it is all the time. And we need to be able to have space to be able to like bitch and complain without being judged for how we feel. Because I just think that's how things dissipate. Like that being able to talk about it, I feel like our voices it's a pressure valve, and we can, that's why people go to therapy. They just need to talk about it.
Yeah.
So
that's what I like about that song, though, is I feel like anybody, it's accessible in that it's not, a lot of times in this genre, and I say this genre, like some people call it Americana. I hate all the names for the genre, to be honest, but like whatever it is, sometimes the narrative is so specific to a story that you might enjoy the song, but it's not necessarily relatable, right? You just like it. Like there's and that's okay. But that to me, truthfully, that's what makes a song less accessible, which is why Nashville likes to write these whiskey in my glass drinks songs, because everybody can relate to that, right? It's like, that's the Morgan Wallen recipe right there. Throw an 808 in and we're done. But I think with what you did with How Sunday Feels, it's like I don't know, man. There's a lot of nostalgic references in there too, like to Kentucky. So I don't know. That could be part of it. I want to talk about some other songs on this album, though. And first, I got to tell you, I don't know if I told you. I found out about Rachel in like 2019. I was late to her, I guess. But I found that Shame album, and you and I were talking earlier about how like eras of your life, you have music you were listening to. And when we were pregnant with my third child, I remember listening to Shame on repeat, dude. That album was so good. And I was like, who is this woman? Like that, she just completely blew my mind with how that I still love that album. And I think about that time period, and I remember very specifically listening to her album in a hotel in Chicago, early January, second week of January, right before I got on a plane and flew to Vegas and found out what COVID was. So it's just like, music, when you're listening to it, it kind of becomes bonded. Just like how I remember
Definitely.
Hayes Carl and Turnpike Troubadours when I was painting my son's nursery, first child. I didn't put a good primer down, and I had to do 15 coats of paint on these shelves that I'd built. And I remember listening. I kind of got into Hayes Carl in 2014. And that was like my introduction to him, and I'll just forever associate him with the hours I spent in that room. Speaking of eras, it was interesting to me. You have so much great new work here, but you pulled in an oldie, Smoking Gun. You don't do this often with your live sets. I don't think you do. Usually your catalog is your solo stuff. We don't go to a Nick show and see Home. I think you do a very good job of controlling those brands, and even those experiences to me are very different. You guys do a really good job with that. So I'm just curious what made that one stick out, because it actually fits really well. If I didn't know that was a song you had written before, I wouldn't have even known. But what made you pull that song in?
Oh well, I actually have played that, from time to time in the solo sets. It's and so Rachel had heard it, and it's also like, so it's just still so relevant to me. Just this feeling of accepting where you are, like you can't really do anything about what's happened, and that's so much of the record now, and just bringing those songs to a new audience. We also are dealing with kind of a Taylor Swift thing of not owning our masters of those old Sunday best songs. So I'm like, re-recording when it makes sense. I want to do that.
Yeah.
Because I just think those are, some songs, not all songs are gonna fit, but it just felt poetic in a way of just like full circle and like honoring the past. And I think that it's easy being like getting older, and then sometimes like I think that I have a bad habit of like discrediting the past because I've just been an idiot, and and I don't think that's fair to my younger self. So it was just kind of like an ode to that time. And yeah, I love the song. Like I
do too.
I've never gotten tired of playing it, and like I feel like it's definitely my most played crossover Sunday best song. So that was just in the batch of songs, and Rachel was like, I think it needs to be the first song, because I feel like anybody that hears that song is going to be like, I want to listen to the rest of the record. So, yeah, so that's how we got there with that.
No, it's great, man. I just couldn't think that you of a lot of instant Hyman. I guess Hyman first came out with Sunday. How have you decided over the years, like what's a Sunday song and what's a Nick song? Because there's been a point where you've been releasing albums with both. How do you decide that?
Just a feeling, I think. I think that the NJ stuff has been super specific to what I feel like like going through internally, like as a season of life. We did that, but then we did that Feel Good Country record, which those songs were that too, but then you're just bringing Chris's songs into the mix, and then in that moment we just kind of called songs. Like we didn't do like pre-production. We went to Levi Lowry's house and we just kind of like captured the moment, and there was like songs that I had that was still me, but and it's like musically too. I think that the cajon is so unique, and it provides this specific sort of sonic landscape that not everything, and rhythmically too, it's just it's not going to work for everything. So
that album sonically though, like even how it kicks off is just it's got that fun Sunday best vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you guys just do a really good job of, and Bentley does the same. When he put out was it the Protector?
The Protectors.
Yeah, Protectors.
That's the name of the band.
Yeah, well, that's the name of his album too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
That album, I think he put that out. I think it was this year. Just his own sound, man. I just really appreciate how you guys separate and differentiate that. Hey, I want to ask you about one specific one. Kind of talking about you versus like you have this. Sunday has those fun elements too, but so does Nick Jamerson. And at the start of I Can't Never Could, or I Can't, you introduce a character, and it's got this like what I would call a classic Nick Jamerson cadence to that melody.
Okay.
You do it again with Prater Creek. There's just something where I would hear that and be like, man, that's a Nick song right there. And it reminds me of Brother Rabbit and a couple of these others where you've just got this, I I think you told me once the brother rabbit that hit this, you ended up pushing it into the 5 to 7 beer version. Like you've got like that, that playfulness to it.
Yeah.
But there's elements of that song that feel like it's a little bit heavy on the undertone. You've kind of got this playful character, and he's kind of been talking about his daily routine, and it seems fun at first, but it kind of starts to get out. It's got that lighthearted melody, but it almost has this sad undertone to it.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to just hear a little bit about that song in particular. Like, is it comic relief on the album? Because it kind of felt like that the first time I listened to it. The more I listened to it, I was like, I feel like this is sad though, because this guy's routine is what it is, and it doesn't change, and he's lonely. Right. And so I just wanted to hear a little bit about that, because I feel like that's one that people might skip over because it does have that playful melody to it. But actually deeper, it feels like.
Definitely. I think from just a tone, Rachel felt like it was like a Roger Miller kind of. And like, I think part of that song being on there is also, just kind of showing range, in terms of like tone throughout the record, but that is me. Like that's me. During the pandemic, this is a song that I wrote. We weren't touring, so I was doing other work, and I was doing some construction work over in Wheelwright. Oddly enough, there was a storm that came through and pulled the roof off of the municipal building. So I was going over there for like two months, every day, 5 days a week for 2 months to put this roof back on this building. And, so I'm getting like a bird's eye view of the community, and, it's just like you're seeing every walk of life and all the people in it. And, my grandmother used to say, like, I would be like, I can't do that. And she'd be like, well, can't never could, and I won't never will. And I guess the summation of it, like at the end, it's like it's this person that's observing all these people and kind of making their judgments. I'm making judgments, but I'm not like stepping down into it to like really get to know these people. And if I felt like it's almost like the devil and the angel on your shoulder of like, and the bridge I think kind of sums it up of like, if you don't try before you die to make some new friends of your own, you'll stay tripping on your ego, and you'll find it's a placebo. Villains are all in your head, don't you know? It's like the angel on my shoulder is like, go say hello.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to like step out and get to know somebody, instead of like making these assumptions about who you think somebody is based off how they look or how you think that they are looking at you. So, I don't necessarily feel like it was sad. I wasn't trying. I don't think I was sad.
It just feels lonely. It feels
lonely. You're lonely
COVID.
at the top. It's COVID. Yeah, it's COVID. You're in the community, but you're not getting to talk to people because you're up on a hot roof, sweating, working, and everybody else is getting in and out of their cars and going inside and
playing a jammer.
Yeah, playing a jammer. It was like people would pull up in side by sides, like just blast. It was like that's where everybody paid their bills, was at the municipal building. And but I was also, it's like I said, it's in Wheelwright. So what I was doing before work, I would come early. My grandmother's house was still there in Wheelwright, and it had been like overtaken by Kudzu, and I was like killing myself trying to clean it off, because I was like, this is it. This is my time to restore. It's the property from the It's a Long Way to Wheelwright video. It's like, this is my time to restore this. And so I was like working, I was working like 10 hours, 12 hours a day, like between my job at the municipal building and cleaning off, the kudzu from the house. And then people start squatting in it as soon as I like cleaned it up, and just doing drugs in there, and it was like people had pulled out like the wiring out of the walls.
Is this the inspiration for Vine That Ate the South?
No, but
It sounds so much. I mean that theme, right? Like,
yeah, totally. I mean, it's just that's just what was happening, you know. That's
Well, it's interesting. It's always interesting to hear like the background of the song. This is what Rob and I are trying to do with. I don't know if you saw, we launched that podcast, the Songwriter. First episode with Colby Acuff launched yesterday, and I sat down. I heard most of those interviews as Rob was hosting, us producing it. It's just so interesting to hear what's going through your all's mind. And I always find it interesting when you do a good job of leaving just enough. Like, you don't tell the whole thing. Leave a little bit to fill in yourself. Yeah. And so I was just curious on that one. You got a few more minutes?
Oh, I got all day.
Okay, cool. We won't go too long. I just had a few more songs I want to ask you about. Running Out of Daylight. Man, what a song. You got to be careful on that one. It'll sneak up on you when you're listening to it. And I talked to your sister about it too, and I know she said the same thing. But that line about Granny's dogs running slow, like anybody that's heard that has talked that I feel like if any line comes up, it's that one, because it hits you. And maybe it's just the dog people I'm talking to. I lost my dog 2 years ago, and I still, I know your sister just lost her dog. It's like it hurts. And then, but also the recognition of, in that song of not having, of how hard it is, you should go see your grandmother, but the time, right? Like, because you got other things going on. I'm just kind of curious. It seems like you're weaving in more and more of those kind of narratives. Is that just coming with age, or
definitely
what's kind of kicked that off?
I mean, definitely. That song, my friend Brandon Moore, who I wrote that song with, like I was in Nashville for something, and he's a Kentucky boy. I went to his house, and he had like the line, like Running Out of Daylight. It was like 45 minutes. The song was written. It just sort of fell out because it's the older I get, and it's not existential like it used to be. It's just like reality. Like our time is finite here, and I just think that that's the constant battle for me, is like, where do I put my time? And when having a family too, it's like I have people to come home to, so it's not just about like, yeah, I love to sing and I love to perform. It's really what I do feel like I was put on earth to do, but it's not all I want to do. And so I want to be a husband, a father, a brother, a grandson. I want to be all these things. So it's just like, you get older and you just have more to balance. And I'm just trying to, find that line. That's also the narrow way, of like this space that you're trying to like find where you're feeding every part of yourself. And that one was so easy to write because, like I said, I was just like hurting from being on the road, and like I just, it was just, I was in a lot of physical pain at the time, and I could just resonate with that idea so much. And it's just real, it's just like real stuff that we're all facing and trying to balance. And I think that with writing is like where I'm trying to, it's like just really hone in on like these songs that are, there's real, it's based on something I always kind of have, but like just having that truthful essence and like really identifying that, and then letting the song sort of write itself. So I mean, I just say props to Brandon for having that hook and that idea.
The killer hook, man. This album's chock full of great choruses. I mean,
appreciate that.
I don't think you really have albums with skippers, but this one is just like, everyone is like got such a good chorus to it. You and I've known each other a long time. I feel like I wouldn't say I know you particularly well though. So I framed that up, this next question, with that. I hope you don't mind me asking, but Sunday dinners feels particularly like man, you either live that or it's just so real, dude. Like the observations in that song. I haven't been through that, but I've had close friends. I mean, it's America, right? Like we all got close friends that have been through that. I was, my parents, I didn't go through that, but I could recognize the hurt in it. And there's this harsh reality that comes with that song, of kind of just having to make it all mash together and work. I just wanted to hear how that song came to be and like what that was like writing it. Cause it's a very intimate song. And I didn't know, like, where do you pull that from?
20 years of repressed anger and just sadness. I think that it's so interesting, like on the other side of it now, it's like the song that I think that like really broke Sunday best was I Want to Go Home. And it's kind of the same sentiment. Like I want to go back to home when my family was a family, or when we were together, And man, it was a tough one because it's like something that I've wanted to say and talk about for so long with my family's my parents' divorce. But it's complex, and it's also like me not wanting to ruffle anybody's feathers, and that's just like something I had to get over, of like, what is my truth? What is my, like, how do I really feel about this? And families just go through stuff, and being back home in the middle of it, it's just given me like new perspective on it. And as you know, I'm in this group where we write a song a week, and it was out of one of those prompts. I don't even remember what the prompt was now, but with the weekly song, I feel like what ends up happening is that sometimes you like strike like hot on some sort of like concept or idea and you run with it, but a lot of it is like, how do I feel in this moment right now? Because I got to write something, and I don't have it in me right now to be cute or creative. Like, I have to be super real with how I feel. And, yeah, it just came out of that. And I just remember, like, I'm up here in my shed, where my studio, and just, it felt like an exorcism almost, of like all these old things that I had finally, like, I couldn't run from it anymore. And it was something that started like a couple years before, when Rachel and I did The Vine That Ate the South, of like, and when I said like, I'm gonna go through these dark things, like I'm gonna like really face these shadows. And I just think that family, it's everything. I think it's like the most important thing, and it teaches us, it has the capacity to like teach us the most about like what love is. And it's not easy, real love isn't, it's ugly. And just, I think I've just like wanted that, what comes with home and with family, and like, and just feeling like we don't have that common ground because, well, our parents are divorced, and we all are kind of split up. And I just feel like, in a broader thing of like America, like you said, like it's so prominent, and I think that the lack of family unit is like a foundational problem with America, of like why things are the way they are, because there's no sense of belonging. There's lack of it. I'm not saying, I think we all find it in different ways. The music community, I think, is like family, and that's why people like gravitate towards it, because it's a sense of togetherness. And I wanted my sister to sing on it too, because she lived it with me, and I wanted her to like be able to use her voice to like say those things, because it's like I said it earlier, there's power, there's a pressure that's released by just saying it. Just saying that you're hurt and this bothers you. And I love my parents. I love my siblings, no matter what. No matter how I've been hurt or how they've let me down or I've let them down, but this was just like, man, this hurts me. This hurts me more probably than anything has, because I just feel like I have spent, we all, it's like we're trying to find contentment and peace in our life, and family doesn't solve everything, but I think that there's so much richness and in family that there's a lot of peace there if you can work through it and you choose to work through it. And my family has, they've worked through a lot, but that one it was like one that I was like afraid for them to all hear, but I knew that was exactly why I needed to do it, because that's just like one of these things with all this stuff. It's like if you are afraid to say something, or you're unsure about it, then you need to like push through that fear and release it. And so I want people that have gone through it to like feel seen and like feel, just like, I don't know that there's a lot of divorce songs, and
nah, man. Well, funny enough, like the one that comes to mind is the Zach Brown song. It's on his big album. What is it? The one where he talks about the dad picking him up on the state line. There's actually a lot. I mean, there's a lot of good songs on that album. But that's one that comes to mind. But I can't think of many. And even that song has some interesting personal insights too. But I think you just push it into an emotional level. The thing I think is most interesting about you, and there's a handful of songwriters, I think just being a songwriter in general, but you and some of the ones I like most are that you take the time to think about something. Like I think in the process of writing that song, you probably felt more than most of us will in our lives. Like so much of life, we just like, that sucks. It is what it is. Keep going. Don't really slow down. And man, like we're very similar age. Like you get into the point in life and it's just like, it's a rat race.
Yeah, you don't have time. You don't have time.
Right? Like your all's profession is to slow down, and I'm going to sit in this room all day. Even if I write one song today, I'm going to think about what this is, and you're dissecting it and you're framing it and you're thinking like, how does that make me feel?
Yeah, it's very hard to do that. It's hard to allow yourself to go back to those feelings, and I just have to shout out my fiance and my daughter for like supporting me through that, because I feel like, man, there's been a lot of this process that I was just like literally like grieving in the floor. Like I felt like my skin was burning, because I was like, all these things that I've repressed my whole life, I'm finally like letting myself feel it. And it's a conscious thing of like, you have to stop and put yourself in the moment. And our world is just not set up for that. So,
great job on that one, man. Again, I haven't been through it, but I can just feel like it was the details in it are so intimate. I was like, that feels like it's coming from something personal.
Oh yeah.
The last one I want to ask you about is Girls from Bristol. That's another one, man. It's got some incredible details. That one's almost, Sunday Dinners is kind of like that too, but this one's cinematic. And what I mean by that is it's like a short film. It's so visceral. You would put that one out on Patreon before, the demo, and I liked it. I probably downloaded it and added it to my Nick bootlegs that I've got, but I did not. The production on that is so good, and I don't know. I listened to it last night again to see if I could explain this better, and I can't. But you and Rachel there's like suspense with that, man. It feels like a soundtrack playing within side of itself. Like there's like this suspense built up, and you've got some heat to your vocals on that. And so is it Rachel on that one? Who sings the...
Yeah, she's on it. My sister's on it.
Okay, I thought that was... Okay, thank you.
There's two voices.
Okay, I thought so, dude. There's a part where it hits like Emily, and I think I confused her the other day when we were talking about it because I said something. She's like, no, no, no. And I was like, wait, that has to be you because is it she the range at the end?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought because
Yeah.
it's incredible
Yeah.
range.
Yeah.
Well, when I was working with her to do the Songwriter intro, I referenced that. I was like, I want that. Like, holy smokes! Like she's just got incredible range, and she flexes hard on this song at the end. But there's a lot of depth to that song. But it's like it feels like you produced it to recreate some of that friction of that relationship. I just want to hear about that song, like where that came from, like even down to the last line about ripping out the tile. It's like, can we please talk about anything else? It's kind of like the vibe, right? Like, yeah. I just want to hear the story behind it, man. Like, it's such a good song, you know?
Oh man, that was another, like weekly songwriter. I was prompted, and I wrote it when we were in Lexington recording my sister's songs, and I was staying at a friend's house, and I was just like looking for inspiration and went through this book, and it was just like it like kind of set the scene of these two sisters sitting on a porch talking, and I don't know I think the Patreon version was definitely less edited, so you got like even a longer story, but
I think I do remember that now.
Yeah, we cleaned it up a little bit for the album. But
another reason, shout out to Nick's Patreon. You get like, so I do love, if I can pause to just try to get somebody to do this with you. I don't come in every week. I usually come in and get like 6 of them at once, and I'll download them, add them to my archive. But it is really cool for some of these tracks that I got the demo of early, because I get to see what you were thinking, and you talk about it on there too. But it's like, there's a $5 and $10 option, and it's so worth it, man, just to like get to see how, a songwriter you admire works. So please, if anybody's watching this, go do it. It's a really cool.
I appreciate that. Now, to touch on that for a second, that's a vulnerable space. Throwing out these songs that some I don't even like. I don't like have like strong positive feelings about. It's like I'm writing. I'm always trying to write something that I like, but sometimes that just ain't what happens. It's you're getting the full spectrum, I feel like, in that. But that song though, it's like this nuanced. It was like this nuanced feeling of, like, it's about these two sisters, but it's about me and my life. Ultimately, of like this feeling of losing. It's like this nuanced feeling of like losing people, losing then losing the common ground with other people, like losing a grandparent. I think back to, like, I'm always referencing Wheelwright. Like Wheelwright and that house is like my like dream space. Like that's like one of my default places I go in my dreams, is like these different versions of that place, and it was kind of haunting me. It haunts me because I wake up and it's like, gosh, just that feeling of like that was the place that we all gathered. That was like, and we don't have that anymore, and like the separation that comes from that, and so that's like, I feel like the essence of the song. Like, yeah, we don't have that common ground anymore, and then the resentment that comes from that, and growing up here, in the Bible Belt, there's like also like this, that's part of the tension between these two characters, is like one of them just wants to like lay scripture out and pray, which are all good things, but like I said earlier, like there needs to be that space to just complain and like you listen and not preach at me,
right?
Like show up for me, don't like glaze. It's nuance. Like I said, like, yeah, those are all good things, but Jesus and all these moral lessons, but yeah, sometimes I just need to complain, and I need for you to hear me out and just listen and be there for me, and so that was like,
it's like always trying to live in hope,
definitely
when you have that idea, and it's like sometimes you just gotta wallow through it.
Exactly.
You gotta feel it. Like,
yes.
That's what I feel in the character, is like, I don't I can't do this right now,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, and that's such a complex feeling that I think we're always. I think the older you get, like there's like these suspended kind of emotions and circumstances that you don't even know how to feel because, like you said, you're trying to live and be an adult in this world, but then you're like you have all these like this residue. That's what I keep thinking, like this emotional
Mm.
residue of life that you're trying to shake off, but you don't even know how to articulate how you feel. And I love this song so much. Like it reminds me of like a similar story of like Painted Blue in terms of like it's
Yeah.
a big long story. Um it's also like this I also like something I did with this that I've done more. I've really tried to like deconstruct the process of songwriting and like take the thinking out of it in some ways. So there's this like just like I don't know method of that I read in this Jeff Tweedy book called Write One Song, and it's just a word ladder where you're taking verbs and nouns, and you're just like listing. You're just taking a list. You're making a list of verbs and you're making a list of nouns, and then you start like crossing them and like forming phrases that don't really have any sort of meaning, but it you make the meaning. You know what I'm saying? Like it's more of just like
Mm-hmm.
finding inspiration. So like monochrome memories was like something that came from that word ladder, and
Hmm.
it just that chorus I really love, and it just sparked the whole of the thing of these memories of my aunt had a farm in Louisville, and my granny was like this Zen master gardener, and yeah, that's just like a
That's
memory that
what's
I'm
in
kind of
the heirloom tomato
yeah,
seeds. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah.
man. It's so good. I mean, I would have a hard time picking a favorite off this album. Um I do feel I got access to that album a lot. I don't like we all did it with Snipe Hunter on Twitter. I didn't do that. I don't think I did this, but a lot of people were like ranking Towers albums immediately because it's content and that's what people
Yeah.
do. It's fun conversation. I don't like doing it immediately because I've just found I always track my favorite albums, or I have the last few years, and it's kind of a fun exercise for me because I'll go back and look at something and I'll think like, oh, that's interesting. That was my favorite album the year it came out, and I haven't even listened to it. Like, but then some just have emotionally attached to me, and I go back to them more often. Like, I don't know. Have you ever listened to Jason Hawk Harris?
Have, but
Um,
not at length.
so he released the same year you released Peace Mountain, 23, I think. He released Thin Places. You should listen to it for the production of it, man. It's incredible.
Okay.
The whole thing, almost the entire album is about his mother's death, and she was a drug addict. And sonically it weaves, like the first song weaves back in sonically at the end, and it's what he does with that's incredible. But the narrative of dealing with this death, and there's a lot of religious ties in there, and how but it's like that album came out in November of that year, and my dog had just died, my uncle had just died,
Mm.
my wife's dad had just gotten diagnosed with brain cancer, and there was just all this stuff was stacking up. And it's like I ended up bonding to that album, and it's like a part of me now.
Mm.
Like I think of those experiences, and like that album, I've told Jason this, like it kind of got me through. And I sometimes find it cliche, like this cliche to like say stuff like that, but like it made me feel better. I just don't know any other way around it. So I mean, I like to have space from saying something like what I'm about to say, but I got your link very early in the, like probably too soon. You're gonna have to have a discussion with your buddy, but I listened to it a lot, man, and I think it's my favorite that you've put out, and it's hard to say when you've got like NJ, which I just is incredible, and that's got it's got Hyman on it, and Wheelwright, and like you look at the body of work that's on that one, but like I just feel like this one, and maybe it's it could be somewhere in 23 to where I am in life. Like, I feel like you're hitting on a lot of themes just right now that I'm dealing with too. And I talked to Blake about that. I said, man, it's just like Nick, throughout my life, we've been the same age dealing with the same stuff. Yeah. And, the door without a screen was where I was at. Headspace of going back home, felt good. I still listen to Mountain Parkway when I head out to the gorge or go, it's like all those songs hit really hard then. And just all along the way, I think you've kind of been there. Well, and when you release Peace Mountain, that might be my second favorite album of yours, because of the nostalgia aspect of it. You talking about looking back at Lexington and, Billy Graham Parkway, like all of, Holler Child, man. Like, I've lost a lot of people that I went to high school with and just can relate to a lot of that, and I don't know if you're getting better at, capturing, or if I'm just getting more emotional as I get older, and just like every new album is the one I bond to the most, but it's kind of funny. I mean, Jason Isbell had a baby, and I was either getting ready to, or had just had a little girl, and he had a little girl, and I was like, we're about to have some music that reflects my exact experience. And then he wrote Letting You Go, which, dude, like as a dad, it's one of my favorite songs of his now, but I can relate to it. I know it's probably not, for most people, it's not even a top 10 Isbell song, but yeah, I connected with it. I connected with the album almost because of that. So anyways, I say all that to say, I just love the album, Nick. I mean,
I appreciate it.
I think you did such a nice job with it, man. Props to you and Rachel. I again, we all rank things. I think it's my favorite album that's come out this year. It's just so good, dude. I'm gonna continue trying to tell people about it and point people your way. Just love what you're doing. And
well, I truly appreciate it. Like I said, in a text, just I feel like you've pushed so many people my way, and I just appreciate you listening so intently and affirming what I'm trying to do. I wrote the other day that I feel like this is for like middle-aged adults, so as someone who's also middle-aged, I'm glad that it's resonating, because that's, it's in this world, there's so many things that I would love to change that I can't. And I feel like this is like my contribution to the world, and trying to just make it a better place. And like I said, kind of help shake that residue off a little bit. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you, man, so much.
I appreciate it. I hope you keep making them, that way with my next phase, when I'm a grandpa, I got the new Nick album, whatever it is, we can reflect back on that period too. So
yeah, I'm trying to like really enjoy this process. Like it's really taken everything in me to not start working on the next one already.
I know you've been writing. I've been seeing.
Yeah. I yesterday I actually sent all of my 2024 and 2025 tunes to the Morning Jays. So I think that the next thing is going to be like a full on like band record. I feel like I've been in this wild frontier universe for 9 going on 10 years, and there's been so many people that have helped me through it, but I'm ready to like have like a group project, and just I don't know what that's going to look like, but
yeah, well, I'm sure wherever it goes, man, I have all the faith in you that you'll do it well. Nick's on tour. I'm launching this at least on my Twitter. I might throw it up on YouTube or something. Probably will. But if you're seeing this, Nick's touring through the rest of the year, I think, right? I know you've got a couple December shows. You said you're kind of tapering down in November a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna, I think, play on either the last show or the second to last show at Duke's in Indy.
Yeah, I think you got the last one from what people have been telling me.
Wow, that's crazy. So that's like November 21st. But yeah, September and October are pretty busy, both with band and Sundy, and I'm doing a duo run through the Carolinas and in Texas with Justin Clyde Williams.
That'll be good, man. He's a killer writer too. Dick and Tammy album, the Dick and Tammy Show album that he just put out, I think caught a lot of people off guard. They're like, "Who is this guy?"
Yeah, no, I know. He's man.
And you've written with him. For anybody that doesn't know, King of Telling Lies. So that song was co-written with Justin.
Yeah, and just spent a lot of time with him. You know, he's another brother that I've known for so long, and
he's a sweetheart.
He's
man,
such,
from what I've gotten to know.
He's the best. He is the best, and I just love him so much, and love that he's you know, I produced that record of his, and then, you know, they've got that Dick and Tammy, and Tyler, you know, other part of Dick and Tammy is also incredible. So, yeah, it'll be fun to get out with him, and then we wrap it up at the holiday get down at the Burl, which will be announcing that soon. So
yeah, you guys you're playing all around me. But I've already seen you twice this year, and I've got the fall is so tough. You'll find out as your kid gets older. You just get so much going on, man. And I'm like coaching basketball. I'm heading up. Well, I'm a den leader in scouts. It's a lot. So
yeah, and that honestly, I feel like that's where my life. It's where it's headed, you know. And I think this tour is kind of. I'm not saying it's the last hurrah, but I think that it'll just be different going forward.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to Charles a lot about that. He knows like he's going to tour his butt off during the summer, you know, and that's maybe where you kind of land, where you kind of invert your schedule from a normal person.
Definitely. That's what I want. 'Cause I've taken time this year to just be around, and you know, you gotta have that time at home. So
for sure. Well, Nick, this was great, man. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with me, and I'm getting to share this with anybody that's watching it. Go check out the album.
I appreciate it.
Y'all go listen to Nick's album.
Thanks, buddy.